Welcome, welcome, welcome to this Healthy Tuesdays. I am Tamika Holmes. I am the Director of Community Care Development Network, and today is real special, y'all. We are talking about mental health. We are grateful for our partners at Journey for Change and Ms. Monica Cooper for joining us today. To give you a little bit about her background, she's a graduate from the University of Alabama, Birmingham, with a bachelor's in psychology and a minor in sociology. And she is currently working towards her master's in clinical mental health and counseling. She'll be graduating here pretty soon. Woo. Got a graduation date coming. And so we're going to dive into mental health. We are dealing with COVID-19, and we're dealing with being in spaces that we are not used to being at home, being cooped in. And so we're going to talk a little bit about mental health and how to get some help and get you guys what's needed. So, Monica, tell us a little bit about Journey for Change. Tell us what they are about.
So, a Journey for Change, we offer therapeutic services, and basically, we try to do our best to guide our clients to wellness. And so, our company is a Black-owned business. We provide clinically based outreach services that will address and minimize extremely dysfunctional behaviors that's displayed by children and adults. We focus on providing support and guidance to teens, parents, and eliminating risk out of home placement and the necessary foundation of a safe environment in order to overcome societal changes and barriers. And so we have two locations. I currently work at the Bessemer location and that we've had for 5 years now. And we have a Huntsville location. And last month made it 1 year for our Huntsville location. When it comes to services, we provide individual, group, and family psychotherapy. Typically, services are rendered in office setting. We do come to people's homes. We do sessions in the community as well. But with COVID, we have been implementing some telehealth sessions too. So we want to give people the option if they feel comfortable coming in or if they want to do telehealth because we want the client to feel, they're most comfortable. And far as payment wise, we do accept insurance. We accept Medicaid for children 5 to 18 years old, and we accept Blue Cross Blue Shield for children and adults, and we also accept self-pay as well.
That is awesome. So, I mean, we've got a number of insurances and ways to pay, so no reason why we can't see about ourselves. So tell me, why mental health? Why did you choose that field? Why is it something that's important to you?
So I actually chose this field. To be honest, I originally started out trying to get my bachelor's in biology. And so I took a psychology course and talking about mental health and the way we process things, the way we think, and learn about different disorders. It really intrigued me. And so that's how my major ended up changing, going to psychology. And it really wasn't until I got here to Journey for Change that they kind of gave me that push that actually encouraged me to want to become a therapist because I'm seeing the impact they're having on so many lives that I wanted to be a part of that as well.
That's awesome. So let's talk about mental health. What is mental health? Why is mental health so important? Especially, I'm not going to just omit all populations, but it seems here, African Americans. I grew up in an environment where mental health was, pray about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't here until maybe within the last decade, I would say, that mental health really started to come to the floor and come to the forefront, that these are some serious issues. So tell me, what is mental health and why is it important?
So, mental health, it includes our emotional, psychological, and social well being. It can affect how we feel, how we act, And it can even determine like how we may handle stress or even make decisions. And so mental health is important in every stage of life, from childhood to adolescence and all the way through adulthood. So it's important for people to also know the certain factors that can contribute to mental health. Some can include biological factors, which are your genes or brain chemistry. It can be life experiences such as trauma or abuse, and even a family history of mental health problems. And so, some early signs of mental health problems can include hearing voices, the inability to perform daily tasks, pulling away from people and usual activities, and having low energy, and even feeling hopeless. And so there are ways to try to maintain positive mental health, which could be connecting with others, staying positive, getting physically active, and even asking for professional help. And so when people actually do those things and possess positive mental health, it allows people to realize their fullest potential. They can work productively, they can cope with the stresses of life, and they can contribute to their community. And I've noticed a question that you mentioned about the Black community in mental
Mhm,
health.
mhm,
I grew up kind of the same way, because for me growing up, when the topic came from mental health, they didn't really discuss it at
mhm.
all. I would often hear people say, "Oh, that person is crazy. They're getting a crazy check or something like that." And I'm like, "What's going on? Like, why are they crazy?" When, people were really dealing with like schizophrenia or
Mhm,
being bipolar. And so one thing, some of the reasons I feel like that mental health is often stigmatized in our community is because, one, people aren't really educated regarding it, and then there are not really a lot of resources for us available. And so we really try to stress the importance of um, educating people about mental health, especially in our communities. And that's one major thing that I love about A Journey for Change, is because a lot of our clientele are African Americans, and
Yeah.
that's really huge, because typically a lot of African Americans don't attend therapy. And so I'm noticing a transition and a change.
Mhm.
And so, I feel like some progress is being made, but we still have a long way to go.
Absolutely. And I want to say I appreciate what you guys do, because we have a youth mentoring program, and some of the challenges and the things that we hear, youth do not feel like they have that space to truly express themselves, be open and honest. And in some cases, it's within their own families because, of the stigma, or we have this misconception that young people are resilient and they will bounce back. And so, you know, you have to remember that everybody deserves the opportunity to take care of their mental space. And so I appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you.
So, next, what challenges have you seen in individuals and families, maintaining a healthy balance during this pandemic? Because this pandemic, ooh, it is something serious. It is a serious physical health situation, but it's also taking a toll on people's mental psyche. What have you seen?
Some of the things that I've noticed is that people have been dealing with a lot of stress.
Mhm,
I know for some parents, they've been dealing with the whole transition of their kids being home,
mhm,
24/7, and trying to adjust, doing virtual learning, which I know some schools are starting to, slowly open back up, but I noticed that's been a challenge. People losing their jobs
mhm,
to find, financial stability, as well as people losing loved ones. We've been getting a lot of calls lately of dealing with grief. And
mhm,
so I think just the whole transition from everyday living that now we're having to adjust to has been pretty challenging for people. And so I feel that, seeking mental health services, especially in times like now, is really
mhm,
needed.
mhm, mhm,
Um, People may be battling in silence. They could be dealing with depression, anxiety, having suicidal ideations, or even being victims of rape. I had read across this article that mentioned how they found that a correlation between racism and depression and anxiety among people of color.
Oh,
And
wow.
it mentioned how some scientists are even finding a link between racism and post traumatic stress. So, for Black women, especially, rates of mental illness are higher simply because we stand at the intersections of race and gender. And it doesn't have to be overt. Sometimes just being the only Black person in a predominantly white spaces can be emotionally taxing. And I found that statement very interesting because people don't always realize the pressure that women have, and especially being a Black woman. And so that's why it's very important for people to know that therapy is not just for one race, it's for
Yes,
everybody. And we
yes,
try to stress it as much as we can. It's
yes,
for everybody.
yes. I've heard some really interesting statements. You know, girl, everything that black therapy, Black people don't do therapy. I'm like,
Yes.
I will go sit on somebody's couch in a heartbeat.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that does not necessarily mean I am mentally unbalanced. It means that I care about my mental well-being. And
Exactly.
sometimes family, you don't want to necessarily talk to family because you don't want to worry them or get them in a bad mental space. And, you know, your friends, you know, it may not be a space where they'll totally understand. You
Hmm.
need that additional assistance from professionals at times. So
Hmm.
I applaud. So, what tips do you have for someone who is in that struggle? They're teetering. They're trying to get it back. What tips do you guys have? Someone may see this Healthy Tuesday post and they be like, "Look, I don't have anywhere to turn. I don't know what to do." What would you tell that person?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. It's important for people to know that they're not alone and that therapeutic services can provide them an outlet to share their feelings as well as provide them with proper coping skills, and resources to better assist them. Most people just have the perception that if they know that, you're going to a therapist, oh, they're trying to mess with their mind. No, therapy is for you to relax, be yourself, vent, get that off your chest, and then that therapist will guide you into helping you make the right proper decisions and give you resources because it's not just us. We may collaborate with the psychiatrist, with your pediatrician or your primary care physician. So it takes a whole team together to focus on that person's mental well-being as a whole. So we really want to encourage people to not be afraid because therapy can really help people sort through their feelings that they may not understand. Yeah.
I think that that's awesome. And for you guys who may not know, if you're working and you have insurance, some insurance companies offer an EAP plan, which means you
Mm-hmm.
get a certain amount of um, visits with a licensed counselor or psychiatrist. You can get a certain amount of those visits for free, depending on what your insurance plan is. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're not certain as to whether or not you qualify, please contact your insurance company. Talk to your job about what EAP is. These are resources and tools that are available to you at your fingertips. And for those who are in our low income community, if you're receiving Medicaid or if you're older and you're receiving, Medicare, any of those, they will pay for it. If
Mm-hmm.
you're receiving all kids is a form of Blue Cross and Blue Shield. So just be aware of what your options are available. And if all else fails, talk to them about a payment plan. I mean, sometimes we'll go put stuff on layaway, but we don't want to put our mental wellness on layaway. Look, I do what you have to do to make sure you are taken care of. Um, so, what are your last or final thoughts surrounding today?
My final thoughts, kind of piggyback off what you mentioned before about them following up with their insurance provider, is resources kind of to recommend that. I agree with that also because some insurance as well may have out of network coverages too. So if they don't have Blue Cross or Medicaid, I know like sometimes with TRICARE, people can still be seen at our agency if they have that coverage of out of network mental health coverage. So I agree with how you mentioned that they should definitely double check that. I do want to, encourage people to maybe visit their local mental health facility, contact their primary care physician just to see if they have anybody that they may want to refer them to, as well as, if they're in Bessemer or Huntsville area, they can come to one of our locations as well. But the main thing I kind of want people to take away from this interview is knowing that seeking counseling is okay. People need to know that they're not alone, nor do they have to deal with their problems on their own. It kind of breaks my heart to hear of so many people committing suicide, adults as well as children, and just feeling trapped and feeling like ending their lives is that solution. And so that's why we really encourage people, to talk to a trained mental health professional that can truly help and guide you to wellness. For me personally, I have lost a loved one to suicide. And for me, it was a very challenging time in my life. And I ended up being like super, really depressed, and I didn't want to leave the house. It was really bad. Like, my family and friends had to force me to leave. And someone introduced me to grief counseling. And so I was like, okay, I kind of want to get in this field. Let me just see how it is. And honestly, it was one of the best decisions I could have ever made. And by no means am I telling people that you go to therapy one time and you're cured or you're better. No, it takes time. It's not magic. And so it's important people to realize that, of course, counseling does not make the hurt go away completely, right? So it's important for people to know that it provides you with tools and better understanding of your emotions and ways to tackle each day. So each day gets better and better. And so I don't just promote counseling just because I work at an agency or because I'm going to school to become a therapist. I promote it because I know it can truly be a life-changing experience. And it's just a bonus that I've tried it for myself to witness the outcome.
So you're not only an advocate, you've tried it. So
Yes,
she could
ma'am.
say, I've tried it too, y'all. I'm telling you,
Yes.
it really helps. So we thank you for just being here today. Thank you for sharing your expertise. Thank you for encouraging our people. And so we will have information on our page on contacting Journey for Change if you need their assistance. And we'll also have a couple of resources for mental health. If you are struggling, don't struggle any further. Don't struggle in silence. So we are going to have those resources for you, and just take that step. Nobody's got to know you're calling. The resources are going to be available for you. So thank you so much, Ms. Monica, for being with us today, joining us from A Journey for Change.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Thank
so
you.
we want you to come back now. I'm
Of
just
course,
telling
of
you.
course I will. Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. Y'all have a great one. See you on the next Healthy Tuesday.